Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Sunday, March 17th. We're going to take a look at Lucid today. So Lucid always impresses me with how much it can just consistently draw down. You see, the macro chart here just incredibly filled with the pain of bulls. Lucid sort of being fed with the blood of bulls, it seems. But yeah, it's quite crazy. Every time it gets a little push, it gets a drawdown, which leads to a full retracement and then more. And, even just the amount of days that it can put in, the amount of red days over the course of a period of time that it can put in. I mean, this period alone from 12/15 through 1/18, I mean, just littered with red days. And then we're seeing that recently as well. Now, Friday, we had a slight uptick, a little over 2.5%. But the day before that, it had drawn down over 6, and before that over 4, and before that over 2. And so I don't know if we're entering another period that looks like this. I mean, that would be wild, but that sort of got me thinking, this is sort of, these levels here are kind of protecting that 250 level, that psychological 250 level. But I mean, what's in play after that? Obviously, every level, because then, 5 cents, 10 cents is such a big percentage change at that point that every level becomes somewhat psychological. But if it loses 250, you gotta wonder at what point, if any, does 240 and then 225 come into play, and then, maybe the unbearable thought of it getting down to 2. But we'll see if this sort of drawdown here starts to resemble anything like this. Obviously, we'll know in just a few short days whether or not this is able to stabilize at all here, or even come up in some small way, or if it does just sort of return to its bearish ways and just continue to bleed out. Now, I'll put in a couple of levels here in case it does start to show something that looks recovery-ish. Give me this one here, maybe. Yeah, I like this level better. So 288, and I think we probably have some levels nearer in here. Yeah, 278. And then what's all, it looks so messy with all the volume candle gets in the way and everything. All right, about there, 271 or so. Now we do have this kind of double candle body area here. Yeah, sort of a quadruple body area right around there at 265. So getting quite cluttered with the levels in here, but we don't have a lot to go off of. And, so we'll keep them there for as long as they stay relevant. But some of those might sort of make their way into irrelevancy relatively quickly because they're based on really, really thin price action. So that's sort of my mode of thinking at the moment. Now, on the think or swim side of things, obviously it looks just as sad, if not more so. And trigger and fire back here led to that huge sell-off and spent a lot of time out of the lower bound of the channel. And here's sort of a compounding factor to my sort of concern about, is this heading below 250 and then beyond? Trigger here again and fire. Last time it triggered and fired, it started to the downside and just kept on trucking to the downside. Sometimes we see a trigger and a fire, and there's an initial counter move, right? A small move in the opposite direction of where it's actually going to make the big move. And so if this had looked like that, it would have been triggering here near the mid-range of the channel. Fire maybe brings it down to this lower mid-bound of the channel, or maybe toward the lower bound of the channel, and then you would have seen boom, right? And that would have been what the fire was really all about. But, this, again, talk about just, do things start to look eerily similar? Yes. Um, but it also brings to mind that idea of the trend is your friend until the end. So while this pattern has seemed to potentially have existed before, the question is, does it repeat itself just time and time and time again? Or at some point, when does that pattern break? Maybe this is the time the pattern breaks. We'll see. As of now, that putting in a slight green candle today has also acted in the sense of it has held the support of the lower bound of the channel, which again, if history is going to repeat itself and it's going to have this big fire to the downside, I wouldn't expect that to happen. I would expect it to draw it out of the lower bound of the channel. Not to say it can't just come Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It certainly could happen still. But it's going to, if this starts to inch back toward the mid-range of the channel, it's really going to give me the ponders of, are we potentially going to try to break, at least in the short term, the trend of periods of time that can look like this? Because that's really distressing for any lucid bulls out there. But yeah, that's basically what I'm looking at. See where this trigger and fire goes, and it's just starting to play out, right? This was the first fire candle, and it was still toward the mid-range, and then it really started to move about here. So 3-4 candles in, it's when it started to move, not so dissimilar from here. Slight trickle down, and then it really started to move. And so we'll see what happens, but those are the things that I'm eyeing at the moment. We've tracked Lucid for a long time, so we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, this has been quite the crazy ride. All right, folks. I hope that you have a nice trading week ahead. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.